Hi, gorgeous Pisces. This is your May astrology for all Pisces signs, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. Now, I always try to throw out there before I get into it too deep. If you're more of a Pisces rising or a Pisces core, like Sun, then I'm definitely getting into the core energies for you. But if you're a Venus or a Moon, I'm getting more into your sensitivities on an emotional depth, on a deeper spiritual, more I'm creeping into your insecurities more. With that being said, I'm being told root chakra, heart, throat, and crown. Like ground the heart chakra. There is some bitterness, some blame, some frustration, some insecurities, grief, judgments in relationships. It may definitely be within the family arena. And communication does need to be spoken, and there's insecurity about what or how to speak it, is what I'm picking up. And we'll look into it in a few minutes on your, I'm getting a lot of abundance here, especially in the 7th house of relationships. But that also could be partially the relationship you have with yourself. It's definitely relationship grief in one form or another. I am getting, for some people, some feeling powerlessness, rejected. Or lower self-esteem. Let me see something here. Because you're definitely getting into this month for you. You're getting into some of your unconscious actions. You're definitely getting into your belief over your free will, your personal identity, Virgo. I'm trying to say ego, so there may be a Virgo of significance, since it came out twice then, that you may be dealing with, especially in the way of that relationship grief. You're getting really into your more private areas, and I heard for some of you, it has to do with sexual. Maybe your sexuality. I always see that sacral chakra and that solar plexus kind of coming together. And strengthening your confidence, your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. So that may be something that's coming in. Now, I took a few notes here. That's what all this is right here, is the stuff that I'm looking at. And I want to throw out that I'm being told for everybody, stop. Okay, first off, stop trying to be perfect. You're still holding on to too much bitterness and blame. The supernatural highway between the heart and the head has got like boulders in it. This is why you're being told to ground your heart. Ground your heart and allow your heart to speak. Allow your heart to, be able to communicate to the head and then outwardly. This is not all just listen to the head. Having confidence within the energies and what you want to say and do and actions you want to make. And overcoming some of that. Sorry, they were interrupting. Okay, with that being said, when I'm looking at the astrology, and Spirit is pointing out to me, okay, first off, when I look at the astrology, the week of the 10th through the 17th, that is some massive, powerful energy. You have a lot of people, not a lot of people, but a lot of planets going retrograde during that week. So major shifting in energy. But Spirit is really pointing out to me From the 7th through the 11th, you're going to start feeling Mars and Ceres starting to come into conjunction. And then they're going to be in that conjunction all the way until the 20th through the 27th, when that's at that massive, right on top of each other, like 1 and 0 degrees, right on top of each other. But you're going to be feeling that energy building. Now, I'm going to look at what that is in your astrology, but on a universal standpoint, the energy is still what it is before we add it to your houses. Now, you're talking about Mars, which again is your sexuality. It's your passion, your action, aggression. It's your fire. And Ceres are coming together. Ceres is karma. It's the threefold. But Ceres also speaks to you about what you are nurturing or what you are neglecting. She also speaks to you about, like, if you have diet issues, like, trying to diet so badly that you're refusing to eat, neglecting issues. She points out where things are being neglected, child neglect, and it may not be child neglect, but I'm giving you ideas. It could be also she's pointing out where things in your past may be creeping up and showing you where you're actually going down the same road. And this is your inner fire, passion, action, aggression, and sexual energy, your confidence, your inner warrior, your inner SWAT team, looking at the threefold of what's been nurtured and what's been neglected, and how is that these two working together? Are they bringing out something positive because you're nurturing yourself right, or are they forcing a neglection to show up and gonna force your passion, action, aggression, your inner fire, your inner confidence to come into a burning flame and do something about it? But the thing is, this is taking place it starts off in Aquarius and then it's moving into Pisces. These energies are. So, I'm going to put it mainly in the Pisces energy for the most part of the month. Mars moves into Pisces on the 11th. And like I said, I'm being told it starts around the 7th through the 11th. So Pisces energy is ruled by Neptune. It's where you want to believe people are better than what they are. It's having hope in areas. In some cases, Neptune is your magic. In Pisces, it can be illusion versus delusion. It can be fantasy smacks you in the face with harsh reality. It can be you brought home all the stray homeless people and then you were robbed. I'm not trying to put it in a bad point of view. I'm just being blunt. This is where you get taken advantage of. And are you going to speak up and not be taken advantage of? This energy could be incredibly powerful this month at, working on yourself and moving yourself in positive forward movement, or it's going to be forcing you to see where you've been living in delusional land. Because the 12th house, which is Pisces, is also your secrets that you hide from yourself, your subconscious depths of your own self-deception, and your grief, sorrow, shame, and insecurities that need to be healed. So that's on a universal standpoint. This energy, like I said, you're going to be feeling it for the biggest part of the month. And for you, this is, we're in a Pisces reading, so this is your first house. This is coming into your very self-awareness, your physical body, your personal appearance, the core of who and what you are. And how are you going to shine? Are you going to continue to be naive? I have a friend of mine who's a Pisces, and I say this a lot to them. And I'm using this as an example for this kind of energy. There's a difference between being a good person and a helpful person and being a team player and continuously doing the right thing and helping. Versus now people are just taking advantage of you. Because now you're seen more as the person who they can just throw everything off on, and you'll take it. You'll just take that shit. This is the question. Are you coming into your power? Into your fire? Are you going to change the threefold to better you? Or are you going to keep neglecting things that need to change? Because it's brought into your self-awareness, your personality, your appearance, your view, your core, your shine. Are you going to shine in the direction that you are really wanting to shine? Or will you be a pushover? You're really getting a chance to step out of that easily, I don't want to say pushed around, because you guys have the biggest hearts. And you guys have the biggest hearts, and you're the most compassionate, which is a good thing. But you also know some people sometimes just are not going to do the right thing. And are you at the point of where karma is going to be your beneficiary and help you? Or is karma going to have to come back and go, why do we have to keep having this conversation? There's a difference between being a team player and helpful versus, here I am, please just step on me a little more. And you're going to be feeling that a lot this month, period, as is running through this energy, especially through the 20th through the 27th, when these two are right on top of each other. Neptune, again, is here in Pisces in your sign, just influencing that magic. So if you're feeding it with positive change, positive nurturing for yourself, and for what you're trying to create and be and bring yourself to, this pivotal movement, then it's going to definitely be pushing you in the right direction for the next few months and put you on a whole new ascension level. But if you're not, then it's going to be taking away from you and making you have to start all over again, like walking 6 steps back for every 2 you walked forward. So I'm just giving you that. You have the full moon, which is going to be in Scorpio on the 7th. We're going to look up the rest of this in just a minute, but I want to throw out what I had to write down. Mercury is entering Gemini on the 11th. Saturn is going into retrograde on the 11th. Mars enters Pisces, your sign, on the 13th. Venus also goes retrograde on the 13th. You have Jupiter, which will go retrograde on the 14th. On the 18th, Pallas, Athena the warrior goddess, is going to go retrograde in Aquarius with Saturn. And they're going to be going back all the way to where they're about to enter Capricorn and sit on the cusp at least Saturn will, all the way up until the end of June. So they're moving back, but then Pallas is finally going to speed up and pass it. But at first it's a slower turnaround for Pallas. But like I said, these two are moving both backwards into Capricorn in retrograde together. The sun is moving into Gemini on the 20th. You have the new moon on the 22nd, also in Gemini. Mercury is entering Cancer on the 28th. So you're only going to be going through Gemini, Mercury, jumping through Gemini for like 2 weeks before it jumps into Cancer. So it's going to have no time for lingering around. It's going to be spitting out its information. Juno will be coming out of retrograde on the 27th. Not to mention, Chiron in Aries is in opposition with Libra, Juno, and Make all month, which is, on a universal level, your core and the beginning of a cycle versus the relationships. Chiron's the wounded healer in Aries, speaking about what about the core we don't really tap into What about our self-awareness and our truths, our personality? Have we built insecurities upon, and we haven't healed, and we're allowing the relationships to rule us in negative ways? So it's asking us, where are we on the growth of that lotus flower? For you specifically, this energy is taking place in your 2nd and 8th house. Oh, shit. On the 2nd and 8th house, which is your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. It's also where possessions and possessive energy comes in. Not to mention Aries has Eris in it, which is Medusa. I always call her Medusa. Trouble, toil, strife, and injustice. So this is saying, where in these relationships that you have, because Libra is all about balance and harmony, but 90% of the time, it's trying to show you where it's not in balance and harmony. So where in these relationships are the rules not right? Where in these relationships is the sacrifice to the relationship before it is to yourself? This would be where you hear people say, you know, I'm glad that you're in this relationship and I want you to be happy, but please don't lose yourself in the relationship. Don't put the relationship before you. And a couple months down the road, you're like, I lost myself in them. I let their parts of the relationship be more important than mine. This is your relationships just as much as theirs. You should be equally balanced within these relationships. What's important to you is important to you. And make sure that you speak up and that you're bringing that out. Juno is here asking you, are you going to put the proper sacrifice and commitment into the relationship? Because if you're in the relationship for them and you just are so, whether it's a working relationship, whether it's family and parents, maybe it's your spouse, maybe you just met somebody and it's all ooey gooey, soft and chewy, and yes, thank you, please, you know. And, you know, when you're all goobery in the beginning of a relationship, and then eventually the goobery energy, like, yay, you know, fades away. And then you realize what you missed. This is asking you not to lose yourself in the relationship, because it will backfire. With Juno being here, is asking you to make sure that you are an important part in this relationship. Not the most important part, but definitely not the least. Haumea is also across from Eris, trouble, toil, strife, and injustice. That's the collective consciousness starting to see the truth in these relationships and what is your part. And is your part fair? Are you getting to be part of the relationship? Or are you just tagging along? But this also speaks to you about how you gain and spend your money. This also speaks to you about your possessions. And with it, this could be possessive energies in one form, like, because we're talking about Aries. This is, can you be aggressively trying to take what's yours? But you're not, it's going from either being completely out of balance to I'm not putting in my 2 cents and I'm not getting to be valued, to the opposite. Are you trying to overvalue the relationship and not allow them to? This is asking for balance here and to create positive relationships that can help you move forward. You're going to be seeing that all month long because, like I said, they're going to be in opposition all month. Now, the third house for you is where Uranus is and where the sun is up until the 20th. So you're going to be seeing that communication. Anywhere the sun is always where the highest level of information is. Now you have so much going on in that first and second house versus these relationships of your life. And are they truly balanced? Are they truly valued? Are they truly, you know, the rules, the walls, the boundaries, the restricted energy versus the insecurities? and coming into your power to stand in your own confidence is coming into Uranus and Taurus with the sun up until the 20th. And that is independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, inventive self in your communication. This could be very aggressive because we are talking about Taurus. Taurus is the bull. And you can be bullheaded in your communication for all the right reasons or all the wrong. So, like I said, this is about making sure that you are trying to create what you truly want by knowing how to speak what you want. But this means you have to listen to yourself deep inside, tell you what it is you want and need. That independence, that individuality, uniqueness, freedom, being able to reinvent yourself and flourish. This is your time to communicate it and come into that power. You have the full moon. Oh, that's at the end of the month. Well, let me, hold on. Can you give me my thingy? You're going to have the full moon in Scorpio on the 7th. That's your 9th house. This is, like I said, this whole month is asking you to truly be aware of the appearance of what you're sending out there. Am I a pushover? Just because I am loving and compassionate? Or am I really learning to stand in my power? Am I really learning to claim my self-worth, my self-value, my self-esteem? When we get aggressive, we can be aggressive in positive ways and put our foot down and say no, and that's it. I don't have to do that. I don't have to take that shit. I don't have to do this, or you can be possessive in negative ways, because when we become possessive and controlling and pushing people around, that's because we're actually insecure, and that would be tapping into the mirroring effect of what's making you insecure within your relationships. That full moon is going to be bringing up that spiritual truth to you of your higher self, tapping into your ethics, your morals, your spiritual truths, your higher education, higher mind, your higher spiritual soulfulness. Are you listening to your gut feeling? Are you listening to your intuitive truth? Are you betting on you? Because any relationship you have, whether it's real relationships like a loving spouse, somebody you've just met, parents, children, working environment, any relationship you have is only worth its grain in salt if you know how to love you first. Because otherwise it's always a mirror of that reflection of what needs to be shifted, because you have to teach someone how to love you properly. But we often have to learn how to love ourselves back to right. And I feel like a lot of this month is coming in. Spirit is saying for some of you, this has to do with getting right with your religion, your spiritual depths, and where that shifting is. Your spiritual law of truth is what I just heard. Your higher truth. And will you bank on it? You have the new moon at the end of the month on the 22nd, which is in Gemini. This is your 4th house. It's going to be here with Venus and with Vista, speaking to you about, like I said, your inner emotional security. This is the karmic lesson in the reincarnation coming forward. It's speaking to you of your inner child, the inner home itself, but this is the home that can't be taken away. The roots, the true you, that most don't get to see. And putting that energy forth. This is where it's saying by the time the new moon comes, you should have been able to communicate through the twins' energy and your inner fire of Vista, Venus, which is in shadow and going into retrograde on the 13th, speaking to you all about your values, also how you communicate to yourself about your values and what do you value and why is it valuable from a logical versus an emotional standpoint, and balancing that in your 4th house, which is the roots of who and what you are, getting back to you, getting back to your power, getting back to security and what that truly means from a soulful, spiritual point of view, and allowing it to be a new moon. So it's something that you're blooming into, something you're rebirthing into. As long as you're working through this, you're probably going to see where you've been delusional with yourself, where you've been self-deception, had self-deception, your secrets in the closet, your skeletons in the closet, your insecurities, grief, sorrow, shame, and blame, and showing you where in these relationships you haven't been balanced in healthy ways, and starting to show you how to. So as we move forward into the next few months, you are creating that brand new you with new security. That 5th house is where the North Node is, and it's still going to be here until the end of the month. So this is definitely talking to you about being able to create yourself again, getting into your pursuit of pleasure. What makes you tick? What makes you enjoy life? Are you putting energy into the things you enjoy? If you're an author, you should be taking time to write right now. If you're a musician, why aren't you, playing, maybe writing music or practicing playing? Like if you're a guitarist, practicing playing. This is the things that make you feel good, that thrive. It's also, your personal interests, but it's also where love happens, sports, hobbies. This is what makes you tick, your creative expression. And you only have a month left of thriving into that before it really jumps into that inner emotional security and the home of who and what you are. If you're getting right with what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what makes you enjoy the life that you are living, and putting forth the energy into that, then you're already getting ahead of the game for when it moves in to Gemini next month in your inner emotional security and the home itself. Because it will start beating on you about what you're not doing right, because it's going to be beating on you about getting to the root of your soul starting next month. So the further you are ahead of that, the better you are. Now, you don't have anything else of these other signs, so we're just going to skip those. We're going to go right to your 11th house. Your 11th and your 12th house. You have Saturn in retrograde. In your 12th house, getting ready to move back into your 11th house. And Pallas is here. Strategic thinking about how you can still talk yourself into believing the insecurities that you've talked yourself into believing. It's helping you to understand where you have to make these changes. The 12th house is difficult. It is our karmic debts, our self-sacrifice, our self-deceptions, our self-undoing. It's our subconscious truths coming to light. It's our bad habits. It's where we've told ourselves the lie so that we didn't have to heal it. Saturn is your rules, walls, and boundaries about what you've allowed people to step on you about. What you've allowed people to tell you that you're not good enough about, what you've allowed yourself to think, on these lower levels, and put it away and take the less. No more. Pallas is strategic thinking. She's focus. She's clarity. Moving backwards into the 11th house. This is speaking to you directly, where you also have Jupiter and Pluto in, Jupiter in retrograde, but and I believe Pluto. But everybody's, Pluto's, they're here in that 11th house. They're all coming back together. This is asking you, where are you going to let that relationship of the outer community take your life? Will you be pushed around? Or will you stand up and go the direction you want to go? I love you guys.